Hi everyone, I'm your host Jade.
And I'm your host Emma.
And this is
Lashing Out and Nailing Life.
Guys, we managed to do this 2 times in a row. We're back again.
Wow. I know, I was like, if I have to do more solo episodes, which I think are nice because they're like really short blurbs of information that I think are important. But I was also realizing, like, I could never do this without you because it was so awkward.
Oh, I hate just talking to the camera
like,
myself.
So I did only voiceover.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Because I didn't want to have to focus on looking at the camera. But I will say that I felt like I was putting on my customer service voice of, like, today we are talking about marketing. And I was like, and I just don't like that. And I like that we like have our banter and stuff. So
That's why when I wanted to start a podcast, I was like, I need someone to do it with. So I'm talking to somebody. Because, I mean, I'm the kind of person I'll end up just talking to myself. Don't get me wrong. But then I'm going to sound nuts.
Well, and like, so our episodes are like 45 minutes, an hour, whatever. Yeah. And when I do them, I will put my script. So yes. Yeah. And I will put my script into ChatGPT and be like, how long would this presentation be? And it'll tell me like 45 minutes. And I'll be like, perfect. But I don't know if I talk so fast that it'll literally be one of the episodes I did. It was like, oh, this will be a 35-minute episode. I was like, sick. Did it 8 minutes.
That's crazy.
I was like, oh my gosh. Funny. And I feel like I put so much information in it. And I was just like, this is crazy. So I'm glad we're back again together on the couch.
And this is another informative episode after our sip, and yap. I teased this one. I have tea for this one. But
yeah, today's episode, to preface things, is mistakes we learned the expensive way.
Yeah, so we're going to start with going back to when we first started our businesses. I don't know what your answer is to this one, but what is the most expensive mistake you made when you first started your business?
I feel like ours are similar. I said not locking down into one solid brand to start.
See, okay, so mine's the like same but not.
Yeah.
Okay, at the beginning of mine, before I started my business, I sat down with this girl that I'm no longer friends with for some unknown reason. She, like, blocked me on her socials, and I still don't know why. But I sat down with this lash artist that I knew had her own business and had it for a while, and I just asked her all these questions. What was something you didn't have when you first started? What's something I need that I didn't think of? How much is this? How much is that? And she told me about this lash brand and how much she loved it, and that's the only lash brand I invested in. I bought tons of all their different lash trays, their adhesive, their primer, their tweezers. I didn't go to any other lash brand. I just bought the one that she recommended. I hated it. I don't know how much money I spent on that initial order. I could go back and find it. It's probably $1,000, maybe more, maybe less.
Which is around a lot when you're first starting out.
Oh, so much. Yeah, and they didn't work for me. And you know what's funnier? This brand, the original owners, had to sell it because her husband got arrested and was in prison for embezzlement.
Oh.
He's now out again, and these two have started yet another lash company.
Oh, no.
And I know people who are, like, supporting that lash company and posting it, and I do think that people can grow and people can change, and maybe they have. Mistakes. But that's just some blaring red flags to me. So anyways, yeah, so that's some tea on this company. I'm not gonna name them though.
I would say that my thing was, I think I tried too much at once. Like, I thought I had settled on a brand.
That would have been better for me though.
I think I settled on a brand, and I think it might just be like a product thing because our businesses are same but different, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, I settled on the brand that I thought I was gonna like. And I did really like them, and then a bunch of controversial stuff came out about them, and I can't unknow things, so I decided not to use them anymore. And I'm really glad because also recently with what's happening in the UK and the EU with the HEMA and TPO ban, they've had to completely reformulate, and people are having a ton of issues. So I'm glad I slowly started rebranding early. But I bought like 55 million builder gels, 55 million top coats, base coats, all the things. And I still haven't really found stuff that I like totally and completely as like a universal or like a 95% client thing. I found one that I'm pretty close to sticking with, but every now and then I'm like, is there something better? Should I be doing more? I don't know. And I think what I should have done is like really, really, really dove in and like done it almost in like smaller sections. Instead of buying 55 builders at once, I should have just bought like 2, went through those, saw how I liked those, and then bought like 2 more. If those didn't work, because now I have all of these builders that I don't use, and I've been trying to like slowly sell them off, but like a few of them got too old and I just had to throw them away because they didn't work for me, and like it was like a waste of money. So I feel like I didn't, not locking down, and not even on like a color brand, because I use a bunch of different colors, but locking down on like the base builders top coats, and like figuring that out. And of course, with the nail and lash and all the industries, new stuff comes out all the time. I found a new top coat that I like way better than my old one, but I'm also still using my old one to like get through it. So, and it's not that I don't still like it, I just like the other one better. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like that was because I've tried to buy the entire collection, same thing. Like, I think maybe that's the issue, is you don't go in buying an entire collection off the bat, especially when you're new, because with lashes, with nails, you don't really know what your clients want.
There's that, and every artist themselves like working with different things, so just because other people love it doesn't mean you're gonna love it.
Right.
I think there's a lot to be said that it sounds like Em and I both could have done, which is buying some things at the beginning. Yes. Trying those out. Oh, those don't work. Let's buy this one now and try that out. That's not my style either.
Instead of like going kind of all in or overdoing it with the ones to try.
So to the lash artists listening, my mistake is I went in and I ordered single length trays, like 8, 9, 10, like full, like 20 strip trays of each of those. I think my recommendation and what I should have done differently is gone to like 5 different brands and ordered a mixed tray of like my most used curl, and should have just used that for a little bit and seen how each of those worked, or even like not even use them on your clients as you're building, but go in when you don't have any clients and test them on mannequins or strip lashes and just see which ones you get the best results with.
Yep. And then I guess my like umbrella thing would be don't go all in on one brand. I would get a whole system for a brand and use it for a year. Okay. I would have gotten, what I should have done was gotten the base primer, whatever they used, builder and top coat for one brand, and just stuck with that and tried that first with their intended lamp, and done that, because even the advice that I got when buying my new lamps, I think I'm still gonna go back to I might still go back to my old lamps. I do really like the ones that I have now, for a bunch of different reasons, but I don't like their base or builder, which is a huge thing when working with lights. Anyways, next question. What did you buy because everyone else had it, only to realize you did not actually need it?
I feel that I don't think I've ever done this, because I don't think I have. I mean, I like 100% bought the Light Heart. I bought their PR box, which I guess, I mean, I say I didn't need it. It's a beautiful display, and they're all the products I use.
I guess the difference is, what did you buy? Like, because like we've definitely bought stuff that we've wanted that ended up being like, oh, and we never used that, which is different than buying stuff because everybody else had it. I'm not sure. I've definitely bought the stuff because everybody else had it. I won't say it's not because I didn't need it, though. I just ended up not liking it. So, like, my new lamps, I do like them.
I mean, there's the first products I used.
Yeah.
But that was a 1%.
My new lamps, I do really like them. A lot of people do have them, and we're giving really good reviews, which is why I got them. But I also did need them. Oh, I actually did write down charms and stickers.
I guess, okay, so for that, I have bought on the little... I guess they're charms too, but for lashes. I bought those, and I've only ever used them once, and that was I've used them twice on 2 different model sets. But I don't think, that was just something I wanted.
Yeah, that wasn't something, I guess that's something you bought but don't use very much. Because I would say, like, everybody was doing nails with stickers and charms. Like, so many people, I was seeing that all over Instagram, the junk nails, the whatever, and I thought, oh my gosh, if I don't have these, people are going to not want to come and see me. And what it really turned into is I had all of this stuff in my nail art drawer that I didn't use. I just finally was like, you know what? I haven't used these in years, which this is also what always happens. And I sold off most of my charms. I still have not gone through all my stickers. I personally don't like using stickers because I find that no matter what I do, no matter what tips or tricks I've done, they always peel off at that like 2.5, 3 week mark, which means that my clients aren't getting my 3 week like I guess not guarantee, but like what I say, 3 weeks, the 3 week limit. And I just sold off the charms and a bunch of my loose glitter, and I kid you not, the next day one of my clients brought in this design where it used one of the loose glitters I got rid of, and I was like, are you kidding me? I haven't used that in 3 years. But which we modified it and it was fine. But
So funny.
And we got close, but it was still just like, oh cool, we didn't do it. So
I don't think there is anything that I bought because everyone else had it, only to realize I didn't need it. I bought stuff because I thought I wanted it and I thought my clients would want it, and then it's turned out I haven't needed it.
yeah,
But I don't, which is crazy because
I guess that's kind of
I
similar
guess I've
though.
never really been the person to do trends. I more set trends.
I think it depends on probably the industry a little bit too, because I feel like with lashes, I feel like the only things is like, okay, different colors.
Yeah.
But then with lashes, if everyone's like, now everyone's doing brown lashes, and so, but that's because everyone's doing it. It's not because like nails are so broad. I guess it would almost be the equivalent, which I could be totally off. It's almost the equivalent of like, let's say like the wavy lashes are being really popularized and you think everyone's doing that, but then you get them and nobody does.
Yeah.
But then like, or like a certain curl of lash, or like even like a shape of lash maybe, but then you're not really spending more money on product. It's the stuff you already have. So
Yeah.
I guess it's not really buying things. I don't know.
I don't know.
I definitely think nails are so broad and so creatively different that like what my clients wanted ended up not being charms and stickers.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing, like the biggest takeaway from that one is like you need to pay attention more to your clients than the trends.
Yeah.
Because while there are trends, and like you said, like the wavy lashes are right for, because I was going to buy some, and I think I might still for some model sets I want to do in October. But I would buy them with the full intent, knowing that I'm probably never going to use them on a full paying client, and knowing they're really only for like avant-garde lash sets.
Yeah.
More so than my day-to-day, because a lot of my girlies are natural lashes. Like that is all they want.
I think that's kind of even what I sent you for my lashes, was like, my lashes but better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, well now for the big one, Jade.
do you want to do this one now, or do you want to save
I guess
that
we
one?
could save it.
Okay.
So I'll skip it. I'll go to the next one.
Okay.
Have you ever purchased too much inventory that expired, went out of style, or never got used? Which kind of is the same thing.
Yeah. I think the went out of style and expired is not relevant to lashes, because as I said, I think it's just client to client, so I haven't had those issues with lashes. However, so when I first started, I started with the skincare company Circadia, which I still use and I still love. But to get in back then, I don't know if they've changed their model. They offered, I think, like a bronze, silver, gold, and platinum package for your first package you bought with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't make me do that. They definitely have it set up to where if you are going to be doing facials, you get a better deal if you do a package.
So I think I did their silver package, and that came with two of, I think, of all of their retail items, and then back bar. And while this seemed like a great idea up front, I actually didn't realize until I went through for moving this time, this is so embarrassing, but they didn't actually expire until sometime like beginning of this year, end of last year, so it wasn't as bad. But tons of those, not tons, probably 10 to 12 of those products on the retail shelf I never got around to selling. And I know 4 of those were strictly for rosacea clients, which I just didn't have any ever come in. So those just ended up getting tossed. And then a few of the other ones that expired, I actually kept for myself to use, because when skincare expires but you've never opened it, really all that's happening is the active ingredients in it are no longer as active. Like if it has a retinol or something in it,
It's like weaker.
yeah, they're just weaker. So I'm using them on myself to like make sure I'm not wasting them. But the rosacea ones I had to toss, and then also it came with a bigger back bar than I needed. Like there were just face masks I didn't ever go through, and I think there was a couple moisturizers I just never properly used in my back bar, so I had to toss those too, which was really unfortunate. And that was just a lesson in, while the deal looks great, do we actually need everything that's coming in the deal?
And I think that's, again, so far all of our questions have kind of been like, you need to know your clientele going into it. So like, even when I've been, like, I think I mentioned it in the last episode, I've been, like, testing out new skincare for me to, like, lock in what I want and what my skincare goals are. And when I was testing stuff out with them, even though they'd be like, well, you get, if you do your first opening order, like, we give you 30% off or whatever, I still only bought what I knew I was going to need. Even if at the time I thought I was going to find, I was in the process of finding a bigger space, which I still am, but like this one was like I was about to sign like a lease. And so I thought, well, if I get this, then I know I'm going to use it on my clients for like a chemical peel specifically, because you had to use, with chemicals peels, you have to use the specific products that they tell you to use. And so I was like, well, I'm going to use that with the chemical peel anyways. But if I was thinking like, oh, I don't know what kind of clients I'm going to have, that's always something that I feel like now almost needs to be more normalized, is if you're new and your clients are coming to you knowing that you're newer, or maybe not knowing that you're newer, but they find out during the service or whatever, I feel like a lot of them are more understanding of the, hey, I don't have this now, I'll order it and you can pick it up. Yeah. Versus, I don't have this now, oh my gosh, they're never going to come back. Because even when I've had facials before, or when I was getting facials regularly, the esthetician I was seeing was always out of a vitamin C. But what she would do, not like on purpose, but like what she would do is basically compile a list of people, and then when the order finally came in, she would be like, hey, your stuff is here, here's your invoice, you can pick it up between these days, these times. And it was just like, okay. I never felt like, oh my gosh, it's so far out of my way and I'm never coming back to her because she didn't have that product. And I feel like it's the same thing with my nail clients. If I tell them like, hey, I don't have that, then they're kind of like, okay, well, here's another inspo picture that I like. Versus saying like, well, I'm just going to spend money on this thing that I'm going to use with me for charms and stuff and stickers and stuff. Like, I'm going to spend money on this thing I'm going to use one time and never again. And the service isn't even going to make up for the fact that I got like 50 of them instead of like 2 that I needed. So I feel like a lot of these questions and our answers are very much like, learn your clientele. And if you have to start with one, for facials, with lashes, whatever, with like one product and a limited amount of colors or a limited amount of choices or however it is, it's better than going in and like buying 85. Like if you do lashes and you have the same amount of lashes that Jade does and you don't even know if your clients are going to want hot pink lashes, like, don't get them. Or like me, I'm constantly buying new colors, and I'm getting to a point where even just me mentally, I'm like, if I have a client come in and they cannot find a color they like, I almost have 500 colors, you guys.
That's insane.
Like, if you cannot find a color you like, and a lot of it is like, well, I want it, and I want it to round out my collection, and I want my little ring to be so ombre you can't tell when one color starts and another ends. But at the same time, that's like too much. So you kind of have to know what your clients want, and clients will go through phases, which is why I will say with nails, I have solid, I have sheer, I have syrups, I have cat eyes, but I'm getting to a point where I have so many of each that, again, if they can't find a color that they like, I really am getting to a point where I've even told some of my clients that I don't know if what I want to do is when I run out of a color that maybe wasn't super popular, like I didn't run out of it super fast, but I finally ran out of it, like maybe I just don't get it and I get a totally different color, and then they kind of get new things, but I kind of get new things, but also I'm not having to have 85 colors and a place to keep them. That makes sense. I say 85,000 colors and a place to keep them. Okay, I guess we'll still save that one for last, so you can ask the...
Just because it'll be the most jabbering.
Yeah.
What business expense did you completely underestimate?
I feel like, which I looked at your notes, I feel like it's the stuff that you have to constantly
It's
replace.
the stuff you don't think about.
Yeah. Like, you have disposables. That's basically what I wrote down. I was like, the month-to-month cost, it's not so crazy that it's hard to stay in business, but it's just crazy enough to, like, I think I said this in the last episode too, where you're like, oh, I don't get to buy anything new because I had to buy files and buffers. And
every time I submit my Amazon order for my disposables, I just want to bang my head against a wall because it's always like $200 to $300, and I'm like, on this?
Yeah.
And then you get people that complain about prices, and I'm like, you don't even know all the stuff that factors into this price.
And it's one of those things where everything might cost 50 cents, but if you have 200 things that cost 50 cents for a service, which you do, like, it is, like, I have to replace my metal implements, and I have to replace my, my buffers and my brushes and my files and the bands and everything, and the metal implements are the most expensive, and they really only last like 6 months, so like twice a year I'm buying very expensive things to where it's like, yeah, $200 order on top of the files and the buffers and the alcohol and the acetone. And one of my little pumpy things just broke, so I have to get another one, but like...
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff.
And yes, the barbicide, or in my case, I use Lucaside, like...
That's
it's just
the stuff that kills me.
All the things. Or even just, like, hand soap, because I have my clients wash their hands, like...
Yep. For my new thing, I just wasn't prepared, because the insurance for my aesthetics business is, like, I don't know, $300 every year. And then I had to just get insurance for my collective, and that was 3 times the price of that, and that, like, hurt my head.
That's crazy. Is it because you're insuring a business that's housing other creators?
I'm sure that has I literally contacted my property manager, because I know there are people in the building that do this kind of stuff. So I contacted my property manager, and I was like, hey, who would you recommend to find insurance for my space? Because I am not familiar with getting insurance for this kind of space and for my thing. So he just told me this guy, and I just messaged him and was like, hey, so this is the situation. I started renting, ironically, before I'm emailing you about this, so I'm in a little bit of breach of contract, but don't worry, the property manager's aware. Just let me know an estimate and what places you would recommend, and he got me a quote, and I just kind of went with him, because I don't even remember which insurance company it's through. It's one I'd never heard of, because it's for commercial. And I just remember sending it to my dad, and I was like, this is the quote I have, this is the insurance company, does this sound about right? And my dad was like, yeah, I would just do that one, because, like, I was already kind of in breach of contract, because the whole thing was a rushed job, me taking over from Allie. But yeah,
well, and as things settle down and stuff, like, for example, I didn't have fire insurance for my first 2 years, and then I finally got to a point where I was like, oh
no, mine is in my lease with Parker Station.
I have time to have fire insurance. But now that you have an insurance, as time goes on, if you wanted to get quotes from other people and switch, then you could, you know?
Yeah. No. That's why I actually wanted to go with somebody in the building, because the lease agreement I signed with Parker Station is so strict on what your insurance has to include and how much it has to cover, that I just was like, please just give me whoever you suggest for finding the very specific insurance that your building requires.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I didn't question it, because I was like, he did ask about employees versus, he asked if I had any employers, and I was like, no, I have renters, so I'm sure that factored in. But who knows? I think insurance and disposables, those are the expenses.
Well, because I'm sure with, like, things like Vesper's probably insured for the damage of their rooms. So let's say a fire, literally, since we're talking about fire insurance, a fire burns the whole place down. He doesn't have to cover my stuff, but his stuff is covered. And if the fire was started by a tenant, he's still covered, even though it wasn't his fault. So, like, there's all those kinds of things that get written into that, even though, like, they don't have fire insurance or a guarantee for if it's not my fault and all my stuff gets lost. So, like, that's why I got fire insurance. But, all right, now for the big question. Have you ever invested in a product, machine, training or service that did not live up to the hype.
So my friend Danny posted the most accurate thing for this, which is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So I've been talking about this on the podcast, and I was super excited. So I went and took a training in January, as everybody knows, in Las Vegas for this new product called Opal Free, made by Lash Apothecary, which is the first plant-based adhesive, probably for a reason. So it had been working great through like mid-June, and then I ordered my third, so I got a tube in class. I'd ordered a tube in March, so this was my second time ordering, but my third tube. Ordered a tube in June, receive it. I have a couple clients report retention issues, which is uncommon for me. I have somebody else report their eyes itching. I remember lashing with it, going, this feels different. The consistency of the adhesive was kind of different. And I checked the Facebook group, and the owner of the company, and this is a Facebook group for those that have only taken the class, so there's only like 190 people in this Facebook group. Check it, and the owner of the company has replied to somebody asking, does anybody know when the current batch of adhesive expires? And she said every tube with the batch number K something 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 expires on June 30th. I don't know what in me caused me to keep all 3 tubes, but I had all 3, so I checked the tube I had just gotten on June 19th, I believe, is when I received it. That expired on June 30th. Check the other 2 tubes. They're all from that batch number. And that's really weird to me, because when we were in class, we were told that since it has a 6-month expiration date from being bottled, like this is a 6-month shelf life, not 6-month open life, that they would all be made in small batches, so that every time we ordered a new adhesive, it would be from the latest small batch. So immediately red flags are going up, bells are ringing. I'm like, something is really off. All of these adhesives are from a batch that was clearly made in December or January. So I think on June 30th, and I must have seen this probably on June 20th to June 25th, somewhere in that window. On June 30th, they have their new educator, because their educator I learned from no longer works for them as of June 12th. So on June 30th, their new educator posts in there, hey, I just want everybody to know that the adhesive can be used for up to a year. Just be wary, like if the color of it changes or the consistency or any of these things happen, then stop using it immediately. The whole comment section is, we were taught in class that it has a hard 6-month expiration. As soon as 6 months hits, we're supposed to throw it away because it might not cure properly anymore. It will not have good retention, XYZ. And like, this is a company backed by science, and the whole reason it's plant-based is because it's safer for our clients with less chances of reaction or allergic reaction. Well, if a polymer is not properly curing around your eye, I'm sorry, but that's gonna burn your eye and not be safe for you. So immediately, I don't feel safe using it. I get rid of it. I don't care what they're saying. Not get rid of it. I still have it, but like, I stopped using it. And then that was June 30th. They sent out an email to everybody as well, saying that same thing, that the 6 months is now more like a sell-by date on like a carton of milk and not an expiration date, which is so crazy to me to say that about products used by somebody's eyes. 17 days go by, and on July 17th, this company sent, mind you, we still have no update of when we're getting this adhesive back. They still do not have a new batch. On July 17th, we get another email from them that says, wait, stop using it. We're going back to the hard stop at 6 months. And it's like, well, duh. Could have seen that coming. Like, that's what Kevin's told you originally. So go back to not using it. They are sending out replacements of their regular UV curing adhesive to anybody who wants it. I requested a refund because they shipped me an expired tube, which they did refund me for that expired tube, thankfully. And I didn't get another adhesive from them because I luckily had one of theirs laying around, which started acting up later on. So I'm actually using a different UV brand. Different story. Long story short, I went and got trained in this like first of its kind plant-based adhesive, no cyanoacrylates, supposed to be the safest thing to put around your eye. I've been bashing on cyano adhesives now, so I'm trying to get my clients to trust me again now that I'm using cyano adhesives again. It's all kind of a nightmare. But by the time this episode airs, fingers crossed they've refunded me, because that's what I'm currently working on, is getting a refund back for that whole class, because that was $2,500. Because they made you take that training to have access to this product. Also seems really weird now that I look at it that way, but it's fine.
Which I will say, I think that that's more common because people brands are running into things where people are buying products, not knowing how to use it, and then complaining. But $2,500 is a lot just to have access to a product, because it's not like they taught you everything about lashing. Like, yes, they taught you about like health and things, but it's not like they went back through and were like, and here's how we isolate, and here's how we like, because that's what would make it $2,500 is like, hey, they're teaching you an all comprehensive, this could be the only class you ever have to take for the next 3 years.
And I'm gonna be honest, the third day of that training I didn't even spend doing much. Like, it was a quiz over everything we'd learned, fair enough, and then it was us sitting practicing lashing while the male owner like took us out in the hallway and had us sign the contracts, which my class got fucked over, mind the language, screwed over, because we were the first class and they actually changed how this worked. But we didn't see our contracts until the final day, the third day, for signing them, which means we pretty much had to because we'd taken the class. And they changed that for the new students. Every class going forward, they saw their contract at the beginning and had 30 minutes to look it over, call a lawyer if they needed, and if they decided they didn't want to take the class anymore, they could leave and be refunded for the class. And my class didn't get that opportunity, which is another thing I'm bringing up in my refund email, because I think that's a really valid point of like, you didn't even approach my class the same way that you approached everybody else's. I didn't even know I was going to sign a contract, because I know the other classes had even been warned about that. So yeah, and I wish I'd known ahead of time, because there's even a clause in the contract that is a little sketchy, and it says like they can revoke our power of purchasing it at any time without or with reasoning, which with reasoning is totally fair, but to have the power to revoke our ability to purchase a product that we paid $2,500 to have access to without reasoning is just insane.
Yeah.
I don't think it would really hold up in a court of law anyways, that line, but
that's pretty crazy, because I feel like, yeah, like not giving you the opportunity, which let's say you still signed it anyways, but not giving you the opportunity to like look over the contract. And I feel like too, even 30 minutes doesn't feel like a lot of time, because
no, not to process
if you're
the
gonna
legal
process
contract
and sit with it.
Yeah.
And I understand even maybe them not wanting to email it to people, but it would be even better if they sent a disclosure that was like, hey, this is how things will work like once you get here, and if you don't want to do that, then don't purchase the class and don't come. Because people would also be like, okay, you get refunded for the class, but you flew there, you got a hotel there,
exactly. You've already had the travel expenses.
Yeah, you've already had the travel expenses, you already like, I don't know,
you've already taken the time off,
right?
And if you have the travel expenses and you've actually fully booked like your flight one day to fly in and your flight 2 days later to fly home, well, now what am I doing with my time? Yeah, the whole thing was a mess. I mean, like, truly, I liked the adhesive, and it was working really well for 5 months, but the reason I'm asking for a refund and to cut ties completely is twofold. One, they don't seem to take the safety of this product seriously, because it's a newer product, and they've stressed this so much now. Anybody who currently has this product is straight up a beta tester. They've only really had this product for a year, so they do not know fully how it works, which is why obviously they were fluctuating with the expiration date.
It also seems like they might have over anticipated how popular it was going to be, which is why you're still getting old batch.
So actually, okay, so in the Zoom call they did last week, because they were polite enough to do a Zoom call, and that was actually my last straw. I was letting them do the Zoom call, I was seeing how I felt afterward, and then I was going to go forward from it. In the Zoom call, I asked the question, why were you telling every single class that you were making it in small batches when you knew that wasn't the case? And the man had the audacity to be like, well, can I ask you a question back? What would you consider a small batch for a company that sells worldwide? And this is where I kind of laugh a little bit, because I'm like, yeah, you're a company that sells worldwide, but we're talking about an adhesive that people have to take a training to have access to, and so far only 200 students have access to it, and you knew that's the way you were doing it from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So
like, again, if it's class by class base, that's what they should have gone off of for their inventory. Do you want to know how many
tubes they made in that small batch? The first one they made in January?
How many?
Take a guess.
I don't want to guess.
10,000.
So I was gonna say 1,000.
So I don't know how much of that has gone in the trash, obviously, at this point.
See, okay, because again,
But no, get this.
that's crazy.
No, it gets worse. This is one of the other reasons, because they're creating waste now. Their solution, so that this doesn't happen again, is every 8 weeks they're gonna make a batch of 10,000.
Why?
Because that's the smallest they can make it to get it to the price point to sell it to us. Mind you, the price point is still $180. So
That
$200 after shipping.
Because the company, yeah, if they're not making it and packaging it themselves, yeah.
But that's where I get confused, because they are.
Factories, just from like, yes, you're technically making the packaging and you're technically packaging it yourself, but like the factories, when I looked into the reusable cuticle oil pens, I'm making the oil. I'm packaging the oil. Just to buy the cuticle oil pens, the factories would only send me 10,000 units.
Okay. So that part I get with getting the aluminum tubes. That's fine. I understand.
Which they don't go bad.
They're bringing them in from Thailand or somewhere. I don't know.
And
It
again,
says on my
aluminum
tube.
tubes don't go bad. They could package the aluminum tube. Blah, blah, blah.
So that's what's crazy, is they're probably getting those in 10,000, and that I respect. But the substance, the adhesive itself, is made in Texas in a small lab, so they claim, and yet we have to bottle 10,000 tubes every time. I just don't. The math doesn't.
That doesn't make sense to me either.
And plus, to get it to the price point you want, and yet we're still selling it at $180. But the issue is, if you're making it in that batch to justify a price tag of $180, and yet you're probably throwing away, I kid you not, 75 to 80% of that
then
batch.
What's your loss? Like, what's their loss in that?
Then what is your loss comparison? Or are you still managing to profit? Because that's insane.
Like, if they're throwing out, if it's cheaper for them to make 10,000 and sell 1,000 of those and throw out the other 9,000, then they're either already overpricing it.
Yeah.
To where they're still profiting like $100 off of the bottle, and it really only costs them $80 to make it, or whatever crazy thing.
Or they're so bankrupt.
Or they are like what?
Chasing their own tails. I have no idea the math, and that's one of the reasons that I am just stopping using them, because I don't trust their business structure.
The stability is iffy.
It doesn't feel stable. Not to mention, they're just...
And I will say, like, I've always been someone who, when something new comes out, I will wait.
Yeah, I should have done that.
Which
it's
I know
partially my fault.
It's hard when it's stuff that you're like, almost like there hasn't been an incident in the past, so why would there be one now, kind of thing. Because the only time I've ever had to do that is like with electronics, because there's always been incidences in the past where like the new Samsung came out and they all caught on fire, or like whatever thing was. Versus with products, like like there's 2 new brands right now that everyone is obsessed with in the nail world: Kinetics and American Creator. And I'm so glad I waited, because there's already things coming out about American Creator specifically that people are questioning as far as like the integrity of the brand. And again, I'm the type of person who, I learn something, I can't unlearn it. So sometimes it is okay to wait.
And that's like my other thing, is their communication is horrible. Like I told you, we didn't hear anything from them from June 30th to July 17th. And their excuse for that is that they were moving from Utah to Las Vegas, which fine, you were moving, but you run a freaking business. And I kept my business through somebody close to me dying. So like, please shut up.
I will say that that's something that irritates me the most with businesses, is the communication when moving. Specifically. Because I had a brand that I was reaching out to, because I had placed a order where I basically had to input manually all the colors I wanted, because I was doing a salon switchover. So they were supposed to take 150 of my colors, and I was supposed to get 150 of their colors at a discounted rate, which I loved, because they were like, we environmentally recycle your old products. Great, cool. And I had emailed them multiple times like, hey, my order still hasn't shipped yet, I'm really confused. They finally get back to me and they're like, oh, we're so sorry, we were moving warehouses. Okay, do you know how easy it is to set up an out-of-office email?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Do you know how easy it is to set up a, hey, we're moving, we'll get back to you as soon as possible, out-of-office email? Mm-hmm. Especially if you're using Gmail or Outlook or any of these normal email things. So easy. So easy. Sometimes I do it when I go on vacation. Yeah. And especially if you're doing a huge move, I think the biggest thing of communication is to communicate. Because even when I was reaching out to brands for the bachelorette trip to help like sponsor and send us stuff and whatever and PR and things, the ones that even just responded with an email that was like, we are flooded with people and we will do our best to get back to you, I was like, okay, versus the people who never got back to me.
Yeah.
Like, even when my clients message me, sometimes I will send like a, hey, I'm so busy, I know it's been like a couple of days, but I will like get back to your message as soon as possible. And they're like, okay.
They were picking and choosing who they replied to as well, which was another like red flag. The brand Instagram had decided to block a few users that had paid to take this class and everything, just because of what they were posting about this whole thing. And they just dealt with it the wrong way. And every time I gave them another opportunity to deal with it a better way, they continued to just do things that made me more wary. So it just kind of reached a point where, unfortunately, I was really grateful for this product and I loved it while I had it. But due to the brand and how they are as a business model, it's just not something I can stand by.
And what brands I think don't realize either is, because this was such a big deal in the lash community and I was seeing so many people besides you like talk about it, not only does it make other brands weary to try and create something like this, but if another brand did, there's a chance that everyone has too much PTSD that they won't buy it.
Oh, which is we have a group chat for this, and we have this thing called PBTSD, which is plant-based traumatic stress disorder.
Because it's true, like, so there's a couple companies in the nail world that have had some controversial things come out, whether it's ethically or chemically or whatever, and it does cause a lot of other brands to then end up getting backlash of the, well, I don't want to buy from them because you can't guarantee it's going to work. And then they're like, well, it worked for us. And they're like, well, the other brand said that too, you know? So there's probably going to be some sort of a learning curve. It's probably going to be one of those things where 10 years from now, somebody finally comes out with a true, realistic plant-based adhesive.
And I don't even think the adhesive's the problem. It's the brand and the company. I think
the adhesive and the way to get
solid.
It, because if they made 10,000 tubes and somebody was like, hey, I want to try it before I get certified in this class, they can't even try it because you have to take the class first, which is a huge risk to take if you don't even know. If a brand, like, again, that American Creator one, if they said, hey, the only way you can buy our stuff is to take our class and it's where we're from, which is Europe or wherever it is, then, and I was like, ooh, well, I don't even know if I'm going to like them or if it's going to work on my clients or if it's going to be something that is beneficial, or if everyone ends up having a reaction even though it's supposed to be less reactive. And then I've spent all this money to fly somewhere and get certified in it just to have access to it. Like, that's a huge risk to ask people to take, versus even if it was just like, I would have even accepted a more like, hey, pay $50 for this like introductory education so you can test it.
Yeah.
And then if you would like to buy more after you test it, here's what you have to do. Would have been even that. Yeah. Because then it's only a $50, what is it, with the adhesive? So like a $200 investment versus a $2,500 investment. So,
yeah. When I was there taking the class, their explanation as to why you had to take the class made tons of sense. It was they wanted to make sure experienced lash artists were getting the adhesive and people who were using it properly were getting it. It was more, the classes there more so, like, you do learn a lot during the class, don't get me wrong, but it's more so for them to see how you lash and how you are as a lash artist, to make sure they're not at risk of giving this product to people that don't even know how to lash to begin with.
That's a good point.
And that makes sense because it's a new product that's supposed to be safer, and if you put that in the wrong hands, it's just not going to be safer.
But in that case too, then they should have done something that's like, this is our beta testing rollout.
Okay, and that's what I had the conversation with my dad about, is even if I wanted to continue using the product as a beta tester, I would still be asking them right now for a partial refund, because I feel like it was advertised incorrectly.
Yeah, it was advertised like it's ready to go. They've been developing this for years, versus really they hadn't.
What you said is what I've been feeling, is we are all beta testers.
So my super secret special project that I'm working on is going to have a beta tester mode, where I give it to my friends or whoever, whatever, for at least a month, just to like work out the bugs and the issues, and you know, beta test and get feedback before it rolls out to people. Because if you roll a product out to people and it sucks and like you didn't do any of that. Even I helped a girl develop an app, and she did beta testers, and she had us test it for, I think, a week, just so she could work out those final little kinks. And that made a huge difference, because there was stuff that, like, you're not going to catch on your people. There's a couple brands that I've taken, like, their free introductory class from, where I've had questions where I'm like, hey, this doesn't soak off, or this is really thick and I don't know how to use it. And they're like, oh, I don't soak off product. And it's like, but you made it, it says soak off. And they're like, well, I just file it down. Like, none of my clients, I don't soak it off. And I'm like, then don't advertise it as soak off if you've never tried to soak it off before.
Yeah.
And then it turned into a thing where she was like, I'm going to soak it off later and let you know how long it takes. It took her 35 minutes to do a full soak off. When I use products that actually soak off, it takes me 15 minutes.
That's crazy.
So the fact that it was double the time and it's advertised as a soak off product, it shouldn't be. It should be soak off if somebody needs it soaked off, but don't use it if they're not getting... Because, like, some of my clients still do regular gel manicures, and so we remove most of it, and then I do, like, a quick soak off just to get off the rest. And so when I would have clients come in for... Even if it was, like, to take a break from structure gel and it wouldn't come off... Well, if I knew that going into it, I would have at least scheduled extra time. I would have charged more. I would have emphasized, like, the healthiness of the product... or the betterness of the whatever. There's, like, again, communication. Craziness. I've also just taken classes, I wouldn't say that were overhyped or that everyone was taking, but classes that advertise that they're going to be more than they are. And it's made me really weary of taking other classes. I've never even spent $2,500, but I spent $300 on a class that... Which this even happened recently with a new class. A girl was charging people like $500 for it, and people were like, this is not the class I thought I was going to get. And that's why I think it's so important to just, like, take that breath. Like, we've learned this now, and it's really hard to want to wait when something is new and you want to be the first one to be in this innovation or to have that experience or the FOMO of it all. But even if you just wait, like, a couple months, I mean, that $500 class, like, people figured it out fast. And then other people were like, I'm so glad I was going to take it. Because it was a girl who was based on speed. Everyone wanted to know how she was as fast as she was. They took her class. She didn't mention speed of her e-file. She didn't mention how long it took for removals. She didn't mention reasons or how she was able to cut down her time. She didn't mention products she was using. People had to guess based on the packaging of the product.
That's insane.
And it was I think it started as a $250 and then it was a $500 class, and it was just like, that's crazy. I've taken classes for marketing that are like, hey, we're going to show you how you can grow your social presence more. And then I take it and it's stuff I already know, even though the premise was, hey, you've already been doing this. Don't you want to be better? And then you're taking it and you're like, this is all the stuff I was already doing. What are you talking about? Or a big one that's going around now is, hey, buy my class so you can figure out how to sell classes to people. And then you take the class and it's just nothing. Again, I paid $50 for, like, a 2-page book. It's not even a book. It was 2 pages where she said, you really just have to market yourself. And I just use Canva. And I was like,
great. Thanks.
Cool. Wasted that. Which is why, segue, shameless plug, I made my marketing book extremely affordable, and it is for people who don't even know where to start or might need to refresh their Instagram, because there's so many classes that want to gatekeep too much information so you don't know what you're getting and are trying to scam you. Because they have a established brand.
I don't think this was a scam. It was just an unfortunate mess.
No, yeah. A different scenario for sure. And huge.
It felt like a scam for a little bit.
Well, and this was huge. Like, this wasn't just like, hey, it affected Jade and everybody else is fine. Like, it affected all 200 people. And their clients.
So what's crazy is I was really fortunate to have had another one of their adhesives laying around, because if I didn't, Allie had moved, so she no longer had her Light Heart stock because I hadn't stocked it yet. I would have had to wait for an adhesive to come in. And the worst part of all of it is it happened a week before I was supposed to leave for my trip to Steamboat. So I wouldn't have been able to reschedule all my clients. And there were other people who they didn't have the trip scenario, thank goodness for them, but they didn't have an adhesive. They had to wait for Lash Apothecary to get their crap together and ship them an adhesive overnight so that they were able to go back to lashing people, because they'd developed so much trust in Lash Apothecary and Opal Free that's the only adhesive they had.
I've been seeing how people have lost clients, whether it was because they advertised.
I lost a client.
Yeah. And I've seen, like, because they advertised, like, hey, I'm allergy conscious, I'm whatever, and then they got 10 clients from that, and then those 10 clients left. And it's like, cool, well, that's a lot of clients. Like, that's not just, oh, I'll come back. Like, I'll come back. Like, oh, you don't do this anymore? Well, I just won't get lashes anymore. Like, that's...
Because some of them can't.
Yeah.
And that's what's really sad. And that's, I don't know. The other, like, the communication goes back to all the way, at the end of March is when they ordered, because this was part of the problem. The end of March is when they ordered that new round of aluminum tubes, and they found out it was the wrong grade aluminum. Hello, were you not the one who ordered the wrong grade of aluminum? But they're not going to own up to that. They found out it was the wrong grade of aluminum, so they ordered them in March. They didn't come in until the beginning of May, found out they were the wrong grade of aluminum, and apparently that's what the holdup has been, is they've been trying to get supposedly, I don't know what I trust from this brand, but they've been trying to get the right grade aluminum tubes back in, and they still... The reason they kept telling us 10 days, 10 days, 10 days is supposedly because that's what the manufacturer was telling them. But it really just felt like a blame game of we're just going to blame that manufacturer for the fact that we keep misleading you guys. I did get an email last night that says they're shipping out new tubes of Opal Free to us this week. I'm texting them I'm emailing them to tell them, hey, don't bother. I want a refund of the whole situation.
Which, again, like, as a brand... How did you think you could get away with it and not have it bankrupt you?
Like, how did you think this was gonna work out? Like, if you had told me, like, beginning of May, even though that would have still been very close to June 30th, but would have given you 2 months. If you had sent an email out to all of us who had taken the class and were using your product, hey, we want to give you a heads up that we currently only have one batch that was made in January that will expire on June 30th. At the end of March, we ordered a new round of aluminum tubes to ensure that we would have a new batch ready for you guys to go by the end of June. But unfortunately, we have just received those tubes and they are the wrong grade of aluminum. So we are so sorry, but we do not know when a new batch will be made. But we just want to make everyone aware now, beginning of May, that the current adhesive you have access to and will be continuing to order will expire on June 30th so that you guys can make plans accordingly.
Because that would have given people time to order another brand.
That would have been so easy.
Well, and I just think too about people who have said, because I don't know how this has been for you, but I had seen a girl who had said, which I don't think it wasn't Opal Free related, but she had said that, like, UV lashing made her faster because she didn't have to wait as long. So could you imagine even just having to switch from a product that made your services faster, cut your time in half, to having to go back and be like, well, I've already scheduled my clients, but now I'm going to run 30 minutes into the next person because I have to go back to a traditional adhesive. Like, even that is...
That's why I'm so glad I had another UV adhesive laying around and it wasn't a traditional adhesive, because honestly, I'm so used to using UV adhesive now that a traditional adhesive would be another learning curve for me.
And it would just, again, it adds 15 minutes. Oh, it adds 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that still runs you into your next person. That can cause client loss. Like, there's a lot of things. It's one of the things, too, that, like, when my lamps went out, and the hardest thing is you actually don't know when a lamp goes bad because the lights still work, even though they're not as strong as they used to be. And I started having issues with my clients having retention problems. Like, I wish it would just say...
Yeah,
like,
I wish it would be transparent.
Low.
Yeah.
Because the companies they'll tell you, it's good for 1.5 to 2 years based on how frequently you use it. But there's still no way to test the actual light strength unless you buy a $2,000 machine and are testing it once a month. And I think that, like, I know that that's harder for a brand. Like, obviously, I'm not expecting brands to do that, but I wish there was an easier way for us to be able to test out, because it's harder to troubleshoot when you're like, my lamps were 1 year and 4 months. And I was like, it's getting really close. I'm going to go ahead and order the replacement lamps. And I kid you not, like the next week was a year and a half, and they were still curing, but my clients were having nails just pop off. And I was like, this is so weird. I haven't changed anything. Nothing's like, it's not popping off and being wet. It's not like they're peeling it off. Like, I'm so confused. My lamps were bad. So if I had been like, well, it said a year and a half to 2 years, like, okay. But if I hadn't ordered those other lamps, then it would have been the same deal of the, okay, crap, now I have to go a month before I can get this in.
Which is such a nightmare.
Yeah, I can't. No.
Anyways, hopefully by the time you guys are listening to this, I've been refunded. So
We'll let you know in the next episode.
yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. And if they find this, I'm sure I'll find out. So
Yes. Yep.
That's why I'll be refunded before you guys listen to this.
Hopefully. If they don't refund you until after, like, we have a limited pool of people who listen to us because we're still new.
It would be crazy if this is the one that goes viral.
It would be so funny if this
I'd
is
be
the
like,
one.
that's my luck.
If this is the one and they're like, we have to email Jade immediately. And you're like, this is 2 weeks after. After I sent my email.
Too bad, so sad. You already refunded me. What can I say?
Gosh. Oh man. Let us know if you've ever had a situation like this with a brand or a class where you felt ripped off or lied to. I just want to know what other brands have done this, because I think that that's something else too, is I'm still seeing brands being recommended in groups that I'm in that are no longer reputable.
That's what's mind blowing about this one, is people are still standing up for them. And
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, even though the product is good and I stand by Opal Free, they're not a good brand and company.
Because that's, like, even this company, they changed their formulation ahead of schedule, told no one. People started getting retention issues, which again with nails, like your nails popping off, you're breaking a nail, you're starting over, like this whole thing. And I still see in groups, people are like, I'm just starting out and I'm a baby tech and I need like a good builder in a bottle. And they're like, oh, this brand, this brand, this brand. And I'm like, you don't understand. Their customer service sucks. I haven't used them in 3 years. They just changed their formulation. Everyone's having issues. Don't pick them.
Hey, at least you're honest.
So find a brand that's good. I feel like I even thought I had 2 very solid brands.
I have 4.
I mean, I guess, like, again, color-wise, I use a bunch of different brands. But builder-wise, I thought I had 2 really solid brands. Actually, 3 really solid brands. One of them, this is color-related. All of the colors I bought were their low HEMA. And they have a low HEMA and a no HEMA. And I was like, well, none of my clients are allergic to HEMA, so I'll just get the ultra-low because it, like, reduces the risk rate or risk percentage or whatever. But I liked the formula better because the no HEMA one was like a little bit thicker and you kind of had to like float it weird. It wasn't my favorite. Well, they just entirely reformulated their low HEMA and they carry none of the colors I have anymore. So
fantastic.
So as those colors run out, which again, it takes me a really long time to go through a color, and their shelf life is significantly good. It's not like 6 months. Then I think it'll be fine. But I was kind of like, oh, there are some colors that my clients really love from them, like the really, really reflective glitters.
Oh, okay.
And no other company that I use makes them in those fun colors or that reflective. And I can't get them anymore. So that sucks. And then the other builder I've been using for a very, very, very long time. And now people are starting to get a little bit frustrated with them because they've kind of become a little bit of a cult. But I do still really like them, and it does still work on most of my clients. And then I really wish I could just totally switch to my other brand because they have yet to change things. She used to work for the original controversial brand that I talked about that people are still recommending, so her products are very similar in quality but better because she did what they didn't do. Yeah. But their builders don't work on everyone because they're a little too flexible, and some of my clients need a little bit of a harder product. So,
do I have the harder product?
I think so.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked.
I can't remember. I'm also kind of getting into hard gel, which is a harder product, but that one really is not a universal product. I don't know why some people think it is, but it's definitely not. Like, I've I think I've used it on you one or two times when I was testing it out, because you typically don't have issues, so that's how I kind of I pick clients that don't have issues and I test things on them. But that one it's been doing good.
I know, it's been incredible. I'm so proud.
So I have been messing with that a little bit, which is the frustrating thing, is that there is no universal builder product as much as I wish there was.
Okay.
Because every client has different nails, and while I do think it's really hard to cater to everyone, I do feel really bad when a client is like, I really love your art, but we just can't get these 3 nails to stay on. And it's like, yeah, there's nothing I can do about that.
Not the nerves.
Okay. I'm like, could you imagine it still cuts off? Alrighty. Well,
that's a good stopping point.
I think that's a good stopping point.
If anybody has any questions about Lash Apothecary, I'm more than willing to answer.
Or other brands that we like or don't like, or if you're starting out and you don't know. I have a hair stuck.
By the time this is up, I might have posted something on Instagram about it. We'll see. I'm really dependent on the refund first, and then we're going to go from there.
So as usual, we will post all of the links to everything you may need in the description. I will post my marketing book that I mentioned, because I'm trying to push that because I believe it's very helpful. And my beta testers, I beta tested it too. And my beta testers for that book said that I should charge more for it. And I said no, because my goal was to keep it affordable.
Look at you go.
So, buy my book.
Go support Emma.
And I'm hoping that my super special secret project, I'm hoping I will be able to start using it by next year, and then by the end of next year, I will have beta testers. Okay, so really, it'll be where we're over halfway through the year at this point. I can't believe it's August. Yeah. Over halfway through the year at this point. So it's maybe a year and a half before I roll it out, but I might just cut the whole thing out. I don't even know if I'm going to tell you guys. I have a super secret project. I cut out everything I said before this because I gave too much away. Hopefully it will be ready for reveal in a year and a half.
You're looking at doing it 2028.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a house by then. I'm supposed to be engaged by then, so... My boyfriend made me give him a deadline because I kept bringing it up, and he said, I want it to be a surprise, and I feel like if you keep bringing it up, it won't be a surprise.
That's so funny.
And I want it to be a surprise. And so he said, give me a deadline, and it'll happen before that deadline, but you won't know when. Yeah. And I said, okay, so I gave him 2 years from June 18th, so it's June 18th, 2028, sorry. And
that's so funny.
That gives him plenty of time. But I told him I would like it to happen within the next year. But I gave him that time so I could still be spontaneously surprised.
Which I'm sure you will be, because I'm sure he'll push it, but we'll see.
Oh, you know what's going to happen is I have one friend. She knows my ring size. She knows how I want to be proposed to. She's got all my plans. But I was like, you should hint. You can hint to my other friends so they'll, tell me stuff. And he was like, no. And I was like, if you propose to me and my nails are ugly, I'm going to be so mad.
I was Your nails are never ugly.
I know. But I was like, well, sometimes I do stuff where I'm like, I could live with this for a week. I'll change it. And I was like, if that's the week he proposes to me.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
No, I think he knows, and I think he will probably look at my nails, or he'll ask said friend
to say something.
Please see if her nails are done.
Yeah. That's fair.
Which I think she knows that she will give me enough hint to where I will know, but Garrett won't know that I know. That's fair. Is what I hope. And he doesn't listen to these enough, so he'll never know that I know. Okay, I ended this already. Everything's in the description. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Bye.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye.